Hello, my name is Jane Lizotte. I am the principal at Sherwood Middle School. I am here to welcome you to a program entitled Skills and Mindsets. You are about to hear from members of our community, in addition to educational leaders here in Shrewsbury, about the skills and mindsets that our students need to be happy, healthy, successful, and thriving individuals in society. I hope that you enjoy the program, and we look forward to taping additional programs that will serve to educate all of us about what is currently happening in our schools and in our local community. Thank you for viewing. We are here this morning, I'm joined by my colleagues who will introduce themselves to you, to talk about how it is that our school communities work together to develop social and emotional skills and mindsets with intention. We know and we deeply believe that our students need to have strong social and emotional skills and growth mindsets in order to learn and thrive and be happy and healthy citizens in our school communities. And we're here to talk about how our phenomenal faculty and staff help accomplish this work. So I'm going to go around the table, and we'll start with Brian Mabey with an introduction.
Hi, I'm Brian Mabey. I'm the principal at Spring Street School.
Hi, I'm Lisa Robinson, principal at Parker Road Preschool.
Todd Bazidlo, principal at Shrewsbury High School.
Wendy Bell, principal at Patton School.
Hi, Ann Jones, principal at Oak Middle School.
So let's start at our youngest level.
Great.
Mrs. Robinson, if you'd talk about the work going on at the
I'd be happy to. And
level.
at the early level is really where it all begins, setting that foundation for social emotional skills, particularly being able to manage yourself and regulate yourself. We use explicit instruction with our younger students to begin with, and then as they're in the program, we're integrating across the day. So it's not necessarily a separate lesson or curriculum, but integrated with what we do every day. And that one example is whole body listening, because our students have not heard about whole body listening. So using your eyes and your ears and your body to listen to a teacher in a small group, whole group, or to a peer. So that's something we do with explicit instruction. And we really strive to make sure that students have skills to solve problems within the classroom, and natural problems occur often. For example, at the preschool level, taking turns and somebody, or not letting somebody join a group. So teachers take that actual experience and then use that as a lesson to help students understand that and also empathize with their peers. It's a little bit about preschool.
Terrific. Elementary principal.
So picking up where Parker Road begins, a lot of work that we do beginning in kindergarten and continuing through grade 4 focuses on being kind and respectful people in our school community. And we share with faculty and staff and students and parents that kindness and respect are paramount to being able to interact with one another, work with one another, and to have a successful time at school. Some of that work that we do is around developing some self-awareness and self-management. And some of the ways that we've been working to do that is through some mindfulness work and practices that we've been learning about the past couple of years. Over the past couple of years, our faculty has been spending some time on learning about mindfulness practices as a way to be able to be present in the moment and to focus on what our task is, whether it's teaching or listening or working with students or interacting with colleagues. That's some of the work that we've been doing to be able to be present and focused on ourselves and our work. This year, we're taking that learning and parlaying that into how we can support our students to developing those skills and practices with a mindfulness practice base on how to be aware of what's frustrating to them, or what's bothering them, or what they're anxious about. And once they're able to recognize that, providing some strategies and skills to be able to manage those emotions. So That's the work that we're doing this year and continuing in the coming years. But the foundation of what we think is paramount to developing social emotional learning skills is to be aware of what our emotions are and how we can manage those in a productive way.
One of the other ways that across the elementary level we're trying to teach some of the social and emotional skills is through the use of our all-school meetings. We typically will do a shared read. The past couple of years, I know we've really been heavily focused on using book series that have characters that are struggling or have a deficit with one of the skills, whether that be self-regulation, being able to be empathetic towards others, considering others' perspectives. And I think it's helpful for the students to be able to look at a storybook character rather than look at themselves and see the mistakes that the storybook character is making throughout the story and what that character learns at the end, usually followed up by some kind of lesson either in the classrooms or even during an all-school meeting where students are able to role play a little bit, turning a blaming statement into an owning statement, taking responsibility for their actions. And it's been really neat to see that carried through into the school day. Teachers reinforcing it, students, calling one another out when they're not owning their mistakes. So using children's literature at that age is a really great way to help them to develop those skills.
At the middle level here at Sherwood, there are a couple of things that areas upon which we've focused attention over the past couple of years. And one of those includes ensuring that all students are meeting in their homeroom every day, that they are having an opportunity to be greeted by their teachers, greeted by the aides in the classrooms, and saying hello to one another, having an opportunity to engage in a group activity, learn about what will be going on that particular day, because we know that students and adults want to feel known, accepted, welcomed in their classroom communities and in the school community. So we are working hard to ensure that that practice is consistent across all of our learning spaces. And I know now, just walking through the building, that you'll see students in meeting not only with their homeroom or team, but also in some of their allied arts classes, whether that's phys ed or music or art. So that's one effort that continues to grow and develop. The second is we're working hard to bring in members of our community, our local community and our state community to talk to students about what they believe are critical skills and habits and mindsets to be happy and successful in the work world. What are the life skills that people demonstrate with whom they work, people they hire, including empathy, including people who are hardworking, including those who take on a job that may not be the job they ultimately want, but they're going to take it, they're going to learn from it, they are going to build character as a result. So the students are really gaining experiences with those who are coaches in the community, people who own businesses, those who serve our community in a safety role, fire, police, etc. And I do believe those partnerships and those connections help students see what life looks like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So those are a couple of efforts going on here at Sherwood.
And that connects really well to what we're doing at Oak. And I think a lot about our role in society as preparing students to participate in the world of work, in a career, in democracy. And there are intentional ways that we are definitely doing that. I'm thinking of Portrait of a Graduate and that whole process of identifying what do we want our students when they graduate to look like, what skills do we want them to have. And one of the things that has always been a challenge for us is how do you identify what those things are and how do you assess students and how well they're able to perform those things. So we're not just talking about the content areas of math or social studies or science, but how do they learn and how are they participating in their education. So we're talking about things like respect and responsibility and perseverance. So we've identified what those things are, but assessing them is a big challenge. At Oak, we're moving towards a new way of assessing those particular characteristics, which is called the habits of work and learning. And we call them HOWLs for short. And teachers will be incorporating their assessment of respect, responsibility, and perseverance in the content work that students are doing. And we'll also be reporting out on those on their report card. So it's a way to help parents really get a sense of how is their child developing in some of those particular social and emotional learning characteristics that they'll need in order to be successful in the world of work and adulthood.
So I certainly feel like I'm the benefit and recipient of all the hard work that's happening at the pre-K through 8 schools in our district. I think when students enter the high school, I find them to be, they can self-manage, they're self-aware, they have empathy, and I think part of our job at the high school is continue to develop the skills that they've started to learn at your buildings and some of the values and beliefs that you've instilled upon them. I think at the high school, we really have focused a lot on students' mental health, emotional health, and we're seeing an uptick in that, certainly around stress levels, around anxiety, and some depressive disorders. We've incorporated in a new program, the Transitions program, to address some of those things. But those that aren't involved in that program, we also look at the profile, portrait of a graduate, rather, where what do we want our students to know and be able to do by the time they graduate, which is really important. I think resilience, critical thinking, collaboration, developing relation skills, that those things are the things that a test might not necessarily be able to assess in a way that the state would want us to assess. However, I think when we look at graduates and the success they have beyond Shrewsbury, I think we're demonstrating through their successes that they are well adjusted, that they have developed the skills to relate to their peers, how they've managed and are able to advocate for themselves when they go on to college and university and find struggles, and address some of the ways that they can manage their own behaviors and emotions when they don't meet success and how they manage that. And I think it's evidenced by, again, the feedback we receive, but also what parents say and how, when they move on to the world of work, how successful they are and the type of opportunities they've had based upon the skill set that they've learned. So our focus at the high school has been significantly more around social emotional health and how to regulate that, and looking at, through our health curriculum in particular, of how do we address that. We certainly have to do more relative to being mindful and providing breaks and trying to reduce stress and anxiety. I think people have this conception of what it means to be a graduate and where you need to go after you graduate and what school you need to get into. I think we need to turn the temperature down on that. I think it creates too much stress for kids. And I think we found through a number of graduates that where you go to college doesn't necessarily mean doesn't necessarily mean you'll be successful or you won't be successful. It's kind of those soft skills are so critical in the workforce. So we continue to work on those. I do appreciate the work that you've all done in your schools, because it is certainly helpful for our population and our staff.
Thank you.
I have had a fortune to work with many different individuals, many companies, and several organizations. And through the process, I've learned a lot. The most important qualities that I look for and value when I'm working or collaborating with someone are empathy and respect. It is very important for me that the person I'm working with is respectful to people of all different backgrounds, be it a different cultural background, different religion, color, race, gender, or ability. In my experience, people who respect others around them tend to be better collaborators, and they work well in a team. In fact, empathy and respect really help develop and foster a very healthy, involved, and an invested working environment and work culture. I think these qualities are positive predictors and precursors to many other important characteristics and skills. Because people who are empathetic and respectful tend to be more adapting, they are better listeners, they are more engaging, flexible, and patient. And these are all important building blocks of success. In the Portrait of a Shrewsbury Graduate, the qualities of kindness, respect, empathy are intertwined throughout the document. As parents and educators, it is our responsibility to model these qualities and to nurture them in our children so they can have a very positive impact on the society. Thank you.
Always be positive. You have one chance to make a first impression. Make it a positive and lasting one. Firm handshake, great eye contact, and a warm smile never hurts. Always be honest. At our company, we say it straight so it won't come out crooked. Be honest to yourself, be honest to other people, and you'll gain character and integrity. Be respectful. Always treat people the way you want to be treated. Kind, caring, compassionate. You never want to burn a bridge. And be active. Be involved in the community. It's amazing the difference you can make. And don't worry about taking credit yourself. The best leaders give all the credit to other people. So I want to close with my favorite quote. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. And the way you make people feel after an experience with them is forever your trademark.
There's several traits that I think are really important and are very helpful for people to be successful both throughout their careers, but even more broadly within their life. The first that I think is really important is having a high level of self-awareness, understanding what's important to you, what motivates you, what your strengths are, and just importantly, where you have opportunities to improve is really important. Also understanding how people are perceiving you and how you want people to perceive you is really helpful in having conversations with folks, either teachers, your co-workers, friends, to get a better understanding of how you are being perceived will help create a better sense of your self-awareness. Another trait that I think is really important is the ability to empathize with others and understand where someone else's point of view. And there's a couple reasons that I think that's important. The first is that you have an opportunity to learn from someone who may be more well-versed on a particular topic. The second is that understanding what's important to someone will help you as you work towards a common goal with that person. And lastly, it's going to help you build a relationship with that person, and ultimately having relationships with people who are going to help you be successful is going to be very important throughout your career. And then the last trait that I would say is very important, and this isn't just from a career or education standpoint, this is really from a life standpoint, is the ability to communicate effectively with people. Having well-thought, articulate conversations or creating written communications is part of a life, and being able to do that really well and succinctly is only going to help you be more successful in your career.
I have one additional question. Todd mentioned developing that resiliency and developing confidence, and I know there's been work done pre-K through 12 in the area of having a growth mindset and the idea that you may not be there yet, but you're going to get there. And I wonder if our last minute folks could just say one thing about what teachers do, aides do, people in the school community to help students be more resilient and be more confident, knowing that they will get there and in time. So.
Sure. Maybe we'll go in reverse order this time.
Go ahead.
I would say that I firmly believe that developing students' resilience is based upon the relationships they have with teachers and adults in the building. And I think when students are connected with adults in the building and adults send the right messages of like, people make mistakes and this is what you can do to improve upon it, and have good communication with students, not only does it model and send the right messages to students, but students build confidence knowing that someone believes in them, trusts their work, and can certainly improve upon it and want them to succeed. So the messaging that our teachers send is really critical, I think, around developing the students' resilience.
one of the ways I see teachers developing students' resilience is by giving them additional opportunities to succeed at a standard they may not have achieved yet. We sometimes get a little flack on giving kids the opportunity to do an assessment over if they didn't do well the first time around. Our belief behind that really is that we have lots of opportunities to get better at something, especially as adults in the workplace. We may not have done a great job on a particular project, but we may have opportunities to improve it. So we're always trying to find and give kids an opportunity to improve upon the work that they've done. The idea that a product isn't necessarily finished just because you passed it in. You got to go back, you got to work on it some more, and there's always an opportunity to do better. And that's, I think, an important skill for kids to understand, that you don't just pass it in and forget it, that it may come back to you for more work on it, and I think our teachers do a really nice job with that.
Great. And here at Sherwood, I would say sending that message and modeling the message that we learn through challenge, and providing opportunities for students consistently to go for it, reach, stretch, knowing that they have the support of the adults. They have been taught a number of skills and strategies to use. They are resourceful, and when they're looking for an additional support or resource of some kind, we're here to help them with that. But we all know that throughout our lives, the greatest amount of growth and the most meaningful and significant has occurred through challenge that we have faced along the way.
Yeah, I would just add that, going back to what Todd was saying about relationships, I think the conversations that you have with students as they're doing their schoolwork, or they're having a challenge with a peer relationship, or whatever it is that they're struggling with, really having those conversations about, okay, let's consider what happened, what could you do different next time, how could we make this better? And I think the more that you're talking to children and helping them to see that, okay, maybe it wasn't perfect this time, or maybe I made a mistake this time, but like helping them to see what their options are, and that you believe that they can make a better choice the next time, or that they'll work through something in a different way next time if it's an academic task. I think relationships and conversations with children really help them to develop that growth mindset.
Great point.
Really similar to some of the work that the other levels are doing. I can think of two ways in particular that we leverage some of that work, and one goes back many, many, many years ago when I think you were the principal at Spring Street School, and worked with the community to develop a set of core values, and one of them is perseverance. And we speak about perseverance an awful lot, whether it's one-on-one conversations or an anchor book at our school meetings and discussions about what that looks like. It's trying really, really hard over and over again, even if it's difficult. So that's some of the work that we do as a whole group. But I think in classrooms, an important message that teachers send to students is celebrating not necessarily a failure, but not getting something perfect. Celebrating it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to improve, whether it's behavior, whether it's academic or content. How do we fix that? And that's through conversations or sharing work, or celebrating when someone has improved over the course of time. So, I think that sends a powerful message to our kids that, like what Ann mentioned, one isn't necessarily done. It's, we have opportunities to improve over time, and I think that's something that our classroom teachers do really, really well.
Great, thanks.
At the early childhood level, I'm thinking about how teachers at the beginning of the year and then mid-year will ask students, what are you able to do, what are you proud of? And then ask them something they want to know and be able to do that they can't do yet. And emphasizing that word yet. And that becomes part of the common vocabulary within the classroom setting, so that if a student is saying, I can't write my name, and they see their peer doing it next to them, eventually their peer is going to say, yet. You can't do it yet. You can get help by going to get your name card. So students helping one another to be able to persevere through a task that is difficult for them, and for teachers to give children more time and wait time to be able to do things independently. I think about the cubby time and taking your coat off and just pausing and just waiting, letting them figure out that zipper and find that little tab and hang their coat up and not do it for them, because that message of doing it for you says, I don't believe you can do it. But by waiting them out, you're saying, I believe you can do this, and I'm here to help if you need it, but I believe in you.
When I think about the skills that a student should graduate with, the character traits and skills that will help you have a successful and happy career, I think of a few things. The first is to be present, to show up, to not have distractions around you, to make good eye contact, and to be arriving at work focused and ready to work. The next thing is to be a team player. So you're going to be part of a team, you're going to have coworkers. See how you can best work with that team. How can you offer yourself to help everyone succeed? And that will in turn help you succeed. I would also say that a skill or a mindset that will really, really help you is to be intuitive, to be a great problem solver. In that, I mean, take ownership of your work. So you're assigned a task, and whether it's large or small, see it through, figure out how to make it happen. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And in the end, no matter what, just keep smiling.
My message to students at Shrewsbury or any place, for employability is, a couple things certainly we need for the basics, which I would say, hard work, perseverance, and accountability. So one thing that would obviously stand you out is if you have some form of industry experience. Howsoever you gained it, that's how it's going to make you stand out. Yes, I know, kids at the school level, they would do retail kind of jobs, and there are some that have never actually stepped inside of a company at all. How can you somehow bake in industry experience as part of your school curriculum? Other things that are essential is the ability to work in teams, so teamwork is an essential component. As part of the school system, actually, I've also been involved in the Destination Imagination program, which is a school kind of coordinated program as well. And that's one thing that I see over there. Certainly, it is teaching them some of those aspects. Try to basically get yourself into some kind of work experience before you come out. Another thing that I came to learn from other community was that as part of some of the science competition winners, they were given an opportunity to work in a company, and the school systems can actually reach out to employers as well to see if there are opportunities available. There are certainly opportunities if the school reaches out. The school can enable the kids, and then I think it could be a fun project for kids as well, and that will actually help them stand out when, again, as an employer, when we get 50 applications and there are 2 or 3 or 5 who have actually done some industry experience or some format, that's what makes them stand out. So my message would be that you definitely have those base attributes, which is hard work, perseverance, and accountability, and teamwork, and then couple that with the ability to with some experience in the industry. Retail experience gets you something. Okay, I worked at Price Chopper, I worked at Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that. Yes, that could be a start, and maybe that's where you get started in your freshman year at school. And I know we as a community also have a kind of push within the school system to do some kind of community service, take some leadership role over there, make a difference. That's what, essentially the goal there is to make you stand out. That's what we as an employer are certainly looking for, and that I think would or should help the kids, to make a difference and be more employable.
The skills that I look for in hiring people is, first and foremost, I look for someone who's willing to work hard and is looking to advance their career or get started, and is willing to be flexible and do what needs to be done. Listening is very important in what I do, and when I talk to young people, I look for that skill, whether they can really understand and give feedback, so I know that that they're getting what it is that either I need them to do or for what the client needs to do. In my own personal experience, my success has come from hard work in really lousy jobs. And by that I mean some of the skills that I learned were early on, like working as a dishwasher or bagging groceries or delivering newspapers. And I learned that if I worked hard, success came from that. And some of the best opportunities that I've gotten have come from really lousy situations. I worked for the Boston Red Sox in the press box and the luxury boxes one summer. And that job came from being a dishwasher because I knew one of the cooks really well. I got to know him and he knew I worked hard. So when the opportunity came up, he called me up and said, "You want a summer job working for the Red Sox?" I said, "Sure." Getting started in the business I am in now came from an introduction from someone I knew only through athletics. I ran competitively for years, and somebody who I knew who knew the business that I was in and knew that I had a background in finance gave me a job just on the spot because he knew I worked hard and he knew what my background was. One of the edicts that I always have gone by is what my high school track coach always said, which was luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And the times when I've been lucky in my career, I worked hard in preparation for that, and then the opportunity came up. My main three things I would say is, work hard, be flexible. So when you're in a job and you don't think this is your dream job and it's not really going the way you want it to go, you have to still work hard at that. If you're doing a lousy job, nobody's going to recommend you for something else. But you always need to look for new opportunities. And one of the things that I think is great for getting started is volunteer work. If you can't get the job you want or you're out there looking to get experience, there's always companies that are looking for volunteers, or there's always nonprofits that have volunteer opportunities. I've always volunteered. I still volunteer at Sherwood Middle School, and I volunteer in other organizations. I think some of the best people I've met in life are through volunteer opportunities, and some of the experience that I've gotten, great experiences through those volunteer opportunities. Lastly, what I learned through my work is work-life balance. And as I say, I work with older people who are usually trying to figure out how to retire, and they're looking for that balance. They're looking to work less. Every one of them has worked hard to build a career, and every one of them has a different story. And almost all of the time, it starts with, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I worked hard at this, or I worked hard getting started in their career because they needed to build something. And then gradually that changed as they got older, focus more on family or focus on retiring or other priorities that come up. But it's always a start as working hard and building up.
I'd like to thank my colleagues for sharing this morning with the community, and we would like to thank as a group our staff members, our parent communities, the Shrewsbury community for truly supporting our work and helping us learn and grow as we help our students learn and grow. So thank you very much.